So, being a parent, Andy, we're parents, right? Sort of, kind of. We're kind of parents.
Didn't think you'd bite on that one.
Oh, but I did. So, being a parent, for those of you who don't know, is the most rewarding experience that you will ever have. It's the best feeling. It's the best. It's the best, 100%. But it's also the most heart-wrenching thing that you will ever do. What are you doing?
I was trying to find that song from Twister. Was a Mama's Choo Choo Girl. Show me no. Go on.
So, Andy, you were the one that touched on this topic, so I'll let you carry us into it.
No. Like I was thinking the other day. My daughter's getting older. And it truthfully is the most rewarding thing. Like last winter. What? What happened?
There's this little opening. I saw your belly.
My belly's sticking out over here. I'm gonna fix my damn shirt because it's too damn short.
Oh, that was great.
Like last winter, the chorus concert, she had a solo, and I couldn't be more proud. Like even like every day, there's something where it's like I could not be more proud of you. But and for me, I'm a single parent. For those of you that don't know, she does see her mother, and our arrangement changes depending upon situation. But she spends a lot of time with me, and you go from not really having anyone dependent on you, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly there's this little thing that you won't even call a human, but it's a human. I mean, it's definitely a human, but you're too terrified to acknowledge that there's another human life in your care.
Mm-hmm.
And it redefines any concept of love you ever had the moment you meet them.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Like, love is completely different than you ever perceived it to be. And through the next, 5 years, 10 years, and so forth, I'd say probably like 10 years, 11 years, given her age, you slowly become their hero. Like, they're everything. They become your best friend. They're your sidekick.
I mean, especially like in your situation of being like a single parent. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, granted, I wasn't a single parent the whole time, but
yeah.
Even in the moments that I wasn't, it was still like, oh yeah, my little sidekick. I have
mini-me. You're still the parent.
Yeah, exactly. And then they get to this age where it's like, I want freedom. I want to be able to make decisions. There are other people in the world that I want to spend time with. And they slowly, spend more time away from you. And it's like, you get to the point where they ask to do things with other people instead of with you. And maybe you had plans with them and like
you
all
wanted
of that
to do
stuff.
Yeah. And you didn't, it's not a thing where you're, when you're trying to hash out plans, like if we're trying to plan something, we talk back and forth. Like, you're not talking back and forth, making plans with your own child. You're just like, you don't have a choice. I'm just going to make these plans, and then you're just going to come along with me.
Well, exactly. And like for me, it's a situation where it's like, if she has to go do something with her friends, it's, do I want to spend time with her? Yes, absolutely I do. Is there a reason for her to not go to her friends other than my desires?
Yeah,
not
yeah.
really. So, she can go to her friends, but to see somebody actually grow up and kind of, they grow into that phase where you're their everything, and then they grow out of it. And that's the part where it's like,
yeah,
just absolutely heart-wrenching because they're still there, but man, it's hard to watch them get big.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not quite there, and I'm not.
You got time.
I've got plenty of time for that, but I can understand, like, when, like, before I had a kid, like, and you would talk about like what it's going to be like when you have a kid, and then like you find out that you
You're
know
completely wrong.
you find out like, oh, like, you know, we're pregnant, like, okay, we're doing this, I guess. And like leading up to that, it doesn't become real until like pretty much a couple of days before they go into labor, really.
Oh, really?
Like for me at least, like I don't know, my brain's probably broken in some aspect of that, but like I'm like the way that I think about it and stuff like that, like especially the first time around, like excited wouldn't like really, like, yes, I was happy and like I was as ready as I could be for sure, but I wasn't like I'm not dying to meet them, you know what I mean? Like I'm not like my wife in that sense where every thought is like thinking about what are they going to look like, what are they going to be into, like what's it going to be like, I want to do this, I want to like, my brain wasn't there.
You sure your wife isn't just like, damn it, get out of me already?
Well, at this point for Bronson, yeah. So like I wasn't like super like yes like everything, but then like when we're in the hospital and like everything's happening, and then when she came out and we got to meet her for the first time, it was just like, oh my God, like I've never felt this feeling before in my life, nothing even close. And the fact that our first child, we got to have a very special moment. We got to have my mom and her mom in there with us. So like they got to meet her pretty much like simultaneously, which was great. So like that's a very core memory of mine. Will forever be a core memory of mine. But like that initial feeling of like, holy shit, like I can't even fathom what like all of these feelings that I'm having right now. And then you get to hold them and you get to like start that care of like changing their diapers and, you know, feeding them and getting into that rhythm of whatever it takes to, you know, keep this little human alive, basically. It's terrifying because there's like, at least with my daughter, she was so small. Like she was swimming in newborn stuff and preemie stuff. She was so tiny. But then you get home and you get into like the rhythm of, you know, what it's like to be a parent, and you know, as they grow each year, they develop so much more than the previous. Like it's insane. Like they start walking and then the next thing you know, they're just talking to you full sentences, and you're just like, when did this happen? And then like you find like the weird but like one of my favorite parts about being a dad is these moments where I am taking her to her grandparents in the morning to drop her off so I can go to work. Or if we're going to pick up dinner somewhere and it's just me and her, whenever it's just me and her in the car, and she starts like having these conversations with me like she's an adult. Like she will have these conversations with me that I'm like mid conversation, like 5 minutes into it, I'm just like, how did I get here? This is so strange, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And nothing compares to those kinds of moments. Like I could sit in a basement and play games 8 hours a day and get like, you know, feelings of joy, of reward, stuff like that. But like, there's no better feeling than like taking care of my child and having these moments where we're like talking, or I'm listening to her like play, and she's like using her imagination so deeply that I'm just like, how did you come up with that? Or she'll say something, like she'll be playing and she'll be like in a pet store and she'll be saying about this is wrong with my pet. I'm just like, what? Like, they say the most outlandish things, and it's so great. It's like I tell everybody who like I know that doesn't have kids or is like on that verge of like having their first kid. It's just like, dude, look, it's the best thing ever. Like the newborn stage, yeah, that's hard. Like the newborn stage is hard because it's no sleep, broken up sleep,
Yo,
having to,
you don't even know hard.
like
That's a peach.
the newborn stage to me is like just one of the hardest parts of like being like a parent.
The hard part about the newborn stage
is
that
literally just like the broken up sleep and not knowing like like not knowing for sure like what is up.
it forces you to become to adapt to the future, where you basically are a night owl and an early bird at the same damn time.
Yeah.
Like you become adaptable. You very quickly come into the terms where it's like, okay, I basically cater to whatever the need is.
Yeah, and we fucked up so bad.
I know.
We did shifts,
Yep.
which was the worst idea. It
I
made
warned you.
sense.
I warned you.
It made sense.
I warned you. Of course it makes sense.
But it was such
Babies-
a bad idea.
babies don't make sense.
So now this time will be much different.
Will it?
There's no shot that we do this whole shift thing again.
Mr.
That
Mon-
was such a bad idea.
I think you guys should do shifts.
No. God, no.
You know what a shift I think you should do?
What's that?
She can do 3 on, so 72 on, 24 off, and then you just fill in the blank.
Dude, it was a nightmare.
No, I'm kidding. Do 48 and 48.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we did. Like, almost.
If you're going to do shifts every hour.
We did it was like every 2 hours.
No,
Dude,
the best.
it was so rough.
I think the best way to do it's just like, kind of like gauntlet it, where it's like, okay, I'll deal with it until I can't, and then I'm just going to come hand it to you. And if it's still crying, that's your problem.
Yeah, we're going to be a little more like knowledgeable in that department when that time comes.
I do want to point out, though, for as heart-wrenching as it can be, it's not like only heart-wrenching. Like, it's still so rewarding at the same damn time, and that's the hardest part, is that it's like
like I said, the newborn stage is like, it's rough, but there's not really like these heart-wrenching moments in like I'd say like the first 2 years, really, because like you're literally just catering to a crying, shitting baby. That's all that they do. You're watching them as they crawl and making sure that they don't get into nonsense, and if they get sick, then you have to make sure they get medicine and all that nonsense. But
I'll wait until her first day of school.
that's not too far off. But then, like once they start walking and they become like this slightly little independent human that like will entertain themselves for like more than they have been, like you get that little taste of like normalcy and freedom, and you're just like, okay, like
The hell are you talking about?
we're settling in.
That is not when normalcy and freedom comes.
For us.
When they can walk, you better be worried about every damn thing they can get into.
See, that's the weird part, is we didn't have that problem.
Yet.
Which terrifies me, because I know that the world is just like, your second one will be a demon spawn.
Your second one's a boy. They're going to be...
Yeah, they're...
out the gate.
But when they start feeling emotions and like they can like talk to you about it,
Bitch, they feel emotions from day one.
Yes, but like when they are actually like figuring them out.
I wonder who they were in a past life. I wonder if they were born and they're like, what the hell happened to me? Why am I here? Who is this person? Shit, I gotta act like this is normal.
Yeah. They're actually just super advanced. They just pretend that they're just like, watch this. Take care of me, human slime.
I can't walk. Can't talk. Oh, yes, I can shit. I'll shit. Oh, I can pee too. Okay, we're gonna do it all.
But to the heart wrenching thing though, when you have to go through stuff, like you've experienced that with your daughter, and I've also experienced that with mine. Those are like double heart wrenching. When you have to deal with like the loss of a family member. Or,
Oh, you mean like that kind of
like these firsts of like, I wouldn't say traumatic experience, but like things where you're like put on the like offensive, like, all right, like I have to figure out how to navigate this for them, and you kind of put your stuff on the back burner, and you're just like, I'll figure that out after this, but first off, I need to figure out how to navigate this one. Like yours was different because it was much like later.
Well, in context for her, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the first like close person she's lost though.
Really?
So my grandfather was this year. 2 years ago at Christmas time, both of my other grandparents died in a fire.
Oh yeah, I think I remember you telling me about that.
And then I think it was between the two, a grandparent, a pseudo grandparent on the other side.
Who was she like really, really close with?
Out of them all, I mean, she was like, I wouldn't say she was close with the ones that passed away several years ago. She definitely remembered them and like cared about them. We went to the service and all that.
Yeah, but
that was her first service.
It wasn't a thing that really like it was like a feeling, but it wasn't like something where it really resonated like with somebody that was like.
That was kind of the introduction though. So it's like,
yeah, but like I feel like it's different when it's somebody who is like you have like vivid memories with.
This one was definitely different.
Yeah.
Well, and also, I mean, like, unfortunately,
and like you've seen like often.
The unfortunate part of it was she did basically watch it happen too. So
which, that's the same thing, that I wouldn't say like she watched the bad part, like the worst of the worst part of it. Like
no, she
on,
was
on my end. On my end, she didn't like. We were there. We let her see. Like she got to a point. My mom got to a point where she basically wasn't responsive. Like we would try and talk to her and she wouldn't respond. We'd try and get her to eat. She wouldn't respond. But if we said, "Hey, Lydia's here," boom. She sat up like nothing was wrong. Hey, sweetie, and like talk to her, and it was like one of those like surreal moments where we're just like, what the fuck? Like, this is unreal. And we let her have those moments, and then when we realized like, okay, like let's keep her out of here, like her mom took her and kept her away like while that happened. And then after the fact, like we had to tell her, like we kind of told her like she was sick and this and that, but we didn't tell her like what the outcome was going to be. And like we told her the outcome, and like it was a thing that was really hard. Like that's the true hard part of being a parent, is when you have to approach like these kinds of situations where it's like, okay, how do I explain to, at the time she was a 3-year-old, how do I tell her that this person that she's seen in her life constantly, all the time, she FaceTimed her all the time, she talked to her all the time, she would see her all the time, like she would come over to the house and have sleepovers. Like, how do I tell them that they're never going to see them again? Like, that was a moment where it's like, okay, we have to like really figure this out to where it's not going to be like huge. And when we told her, she was just like, okay, like she understood, and then was like, okay, and we were like, all right, that was a little easier than we had thought, but it's the aftermath of all of that. Like, we're still dealing with that, where she will just like cry for no reason, and we're just like, why are you crying? And she'll say like, oh, I miss my Nana. And it's just like, fuck, man. Like, it's still to this day, every time she says that, it is like a knife to the chest. because it's the little person that you love so much, and you don't ever want to see them hurt. You don't ever want to see them cry, especially if it's a dad and the daughter. Like, that's a whole different dynamic. So like when she says that stuff, it's like it makes me realize that I haven't truly dealt with the grief completely, because I had to deal with it for everybody else, and I had to deal with all the stuff with the estate and blah blah blah. Like, I never truly had that moment of just like sitting down and being like, oh, man. So like having that little constant reminder, like when she has these moments, or like she'll go up and she has a picture of her, and she like we'll be getting ready for bed, and she'll pick up the picture and hug it, and then she'll kiss it, and it's just like, oh, just knife to the chest, man. It's such a hard thing to watch, but you just gotta move on with it. You gotta be like, all right, well, I'm gonna go downstairs and might cry, might not, and we're gonna try and get to tomorrow.
I don't know if that's necessarily true though, where you just move on with it. I mean, yeah, like I wouldn't keep it going with her, but like after she's in bed, I certainly think that's a perfect opportunity to start and reflect. And
I mean, you don't really have a choice. Like, you can't, like, I'll be fine, completely fine, having a pretty decent day, and like I get home, I'm like, all right, like let's get into the moments and let's do the stuff that we have to do, and then like that'll happen, and I'm just like, and that just brings me down to here. Okay, like, awesome, thanks for the reminder, I appreciate it. But you can't really just be like, hey, stop talking about it.
Well, it's the thing. Like,
for my sake, please.
They're not doing it to remind you, and they don't even realize. Like, it's a context type thing. They aren't at the point yet where they have that kind of awareness to be like, oh, I shouldn't say this. But
yeah.
Thankfully, they
and
get that.
I don't ever want her to have that like. Speaking of like being like a tough time being a parent, like when you have to navigate like how to approach certain situations, like, you know, if they're at a neighbor's house or they're at a friend's house and they come home and they say something and you're just like, hold on, wait, what? And then they repeat it and you're just like,
fuck did you say to me?
Like, what did you see, or what did you say, or what happened? And then they like,
Billy did what?
They start to like let out more and more every time you just kind of like, hold on, like, say that again. And they your belly's out again. They like having that, like knowing how to navigate those things, it's like, oh my god, like that's the hard part about being a parent. Like feeding them, whatever. Like taking care of them, whatever. Especially at like the age that my daughter's at now, it's I mean, it's relatively easy to take care of her, but those kinds of things are like she's gonna go on for the first time actually. Her friend from school, her parents are doing a thing for her birthday where she can take one friend to, they're going to like Build-A-Bear, I think they're going to dinner, and then or going to lunch, or the lunch or dinner, one of those, I think, and then having cake, and then they're going to bring her back. So they're going to take her.
They're going to bring her back?
And then they're going to bring her back. Like
they're going to bring her back?
I hope so.
Oh.
So they're going to pick her up, and she's going to go with them, and we're not going to be there. And she's going to get to do all this stuff, and then she's going to come back. Like, it's the first time that's happening. And, like, I'd be lying if I wasn't like, ooh, like, how's she going to do? Like, is she going to be good? Like, I have faith that my kid is well-behaved, but I don't want her to, like, have that moment of, like, oh, my parents aren't here. I don't like this.
Mom and Dad aren't around. Burn the place down.
Like, it's a weird thing. Like, it's the first time that she's gone somewhere without us. You know what I mean? Like, she's gone to a birthday party where she can run around and play with kids, and we're not, like, hovering over. That's not the kind of parents we are. But
You really gonna play that?
We are not those kind of parents. We've seen those kind of parents.
Not to the degree you're talking about. I have seen you. You are very caring when it comes to your child.
Yeah, I'm caring when it comes to my child. Yeah, but I'm not like watching her every move and like hovering over her while she's playing at the swing set, being like,
No, you're not 5 feet from her. You're just like 20 feet from her.
"Well, I'm at the house."
You're like the Apache Chinook helicopter, not the Black Hawk that's like right there.
Well, yeah. If some shit goes down, like I'm ready to take care of it. But most of the time when she's playing, like it's like whatever. Like
It's okay. It's a delicate balance. You don't want to be the parent that's over there in the corner where the kids are running around just like doing whatever and like runs into a wall,
you're
gets
sitting
a bloody
there with
nose, and
binoculars, like
yeah, you're just sitting there and you're just like, oh, somebody's crying, and it's like, yeah, it's your son. Oh, wait, what?
yeah,
That's
like
not who you want to be.
No.
And you don't want to be the person who's like,
Is a kid crying? Who? Is it mine? Huh? What?
no, you don't even have to ask because you're literally 2 feet from them. I've met them too. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah,
and a
like-
lot of people like, I've seen parents where they're like so laissez-faire with their kids that they literally, it's like, your son just beat the shit out of somebody. That's not how to be.
They're like, it's just Junior.
Exactly, but it's like you can't do that. You don't want to be. It's tricky. You don't want to be too close. You don't want to be too far away.
Yeah, but we like it is a balance, yes, and it does take a lot to get to that point, but it's also like it's all about just not like you. I don't even know how to describe it.
LJ, I want you to listen to me. It's a very delicate balance. It's a balance I've worked on many, many, many years. I've done it many times. Many, many, many times. Very delicate. You can't get too
I think
close.
The
You can't get too
the
far
things
away.
that bother me the most are like I'm gonna have to like talk to other adults,
No, you don't.
and I'm just like,
The only other adults you have to talk to are the adults where their children has an impact on your child's life directly. If they're friends, you don't have to talk to them. It's like, yeah.
but I kind of do, because like
No.
I don't want to just like have my daughter go over to people's houses and they're just like slumlords.
No, so you don't.
That's the thing. Like I have to meet the parents first and be like, all right, what are you about? Are you like, what are you like? What are your feelings on this? Are you like pushing this shit on everybody? Because if that's the case, see ya.
You don't even get to ask those questions, though.
I get to ask those questions.
You realize that when you ask those questions, that friendship is over for her, right?
Well,
I'm just telling you, like, you got to
price
be
to
able.
pay.
You got to be able to suss it out without explicitly
Most of
asking
the
that
time,
shit.
I can suss it out without asking the questions. But
Like,
if they're one of those people where I'm just like, okay, I gotta ask the question.
I've definitely met parents where, like, I meet them and I'm like, man, you're fucking nuts if you think my daughter is ever coming to this house.
Yeah.
Would you like a piece of cake? Oh, I would love to. She can stay.
Like the like figuring it out, like where you're just like, oh my god, I just lost my train of thought.
What a shocker.
Fuck my
What a fucking shock. Sounds like the perfect opportunity to move on.